We welcome you back to Blaze AM here at Blaze Radio's coverage of Super Bowl Radio Row. Parker Porrill, Shay, Moloney, and now Aidan O'Neill joins us on the program. So thank you for making time to join little old me right here at the Moscone Center in downtown San Francisco.
Happy to be here, Parker. Thanks for having us.
No problem. We had a wonderful time last night exploring downtown San Francisco. Got to try some iconic San Francisco pizza. What did you say, Shay? It was the top 38 pizzas in San Francisco?
I found an article where it was the 38, not the best, but the 38 most essential San Francisco restaurants. And it's an article by Eater, which I think Eater magazine does great work no matter what city you're in. I use that for a lot of Phoenix restaurants as well. Never been led astray by them. But it was, the 38 restaurants that, and it was a menagerie of different cuisines and cultures and pastry shops, coffee shops, restaurants. And it was one of the most essential San Francisco meal items is pizza. Like, they have a lot of pizzerias here, and this was their one that they suggested, and I thought it was pretty good. It was like a little slice shop, and a little bit of a trek to get there, and eventful on the way, but we got there just fine, just safe, and had some pizza, so it was pretty good.
So, friends of the program, Out of Sight Pizza, the original, not Out of Sight Pizza 2, the sequel.
We made sure to go to the original.
The original Out of Sight Pizza 1. Make sure you go there. Tell them Blaze AM sent you, and they'll say, who are they? But try their pepperoni pizza. It's very good. Good experience overall. Then we got to go to Oracle Park. Before we get into the whole meat and potatoes of the sports world, it was very cool to see Oracle Park, because I'm somebody who I haven't been to too many MLB parks despite being a baseball fan. Wrigley's been my only game that I've been to that's a current MLB stadium. The other one was, of course, the Braves' old stadium. I haven't been to the new stadium.
You haven't been to Chase Field yet?
I haven't been to Chase Field yet.
Wow.
No. Well, actually, no. I guess 3. I guess I've been to Chase Field. I forgot about that. Sometimes, because I saw a Cubs game there, I kind of like, in my brain, I'm just like, oh, it's Wrigley Southwest in my mind.
Okay,
there you go.
That's very Cubs supremacy of you.
I'm sorry, but the Cubs took over the stadium when I was there, so that's all.
That happens to a lot of. That happens with a lot of opposing teams in the Diamondbacks' house, unfortunately.
But I do want to go to Busch. I'm not somebody who's afraid of going to Busch Stadium.
I've never been to Wrigley for a game. I've been outside of Wrigley. I've never been to Wrigley for a game, and that needs to change. I mean, when the Cardinals and the Cubs played in London a couple seasons ago, we were trying to make it work. It was just ridiculously expensive if you'd go through the package, and it didn't seem worth it for one game. I was like, but I need to go to a Cardinal. I've been to plenty of Cardinals-Cubs games in Busch. I need to go to Wrigley as well, because it's fun when those two teams get together.
Absolutely. I'm going to make sure to go to a Busch game one time, and then I'm going to make sure to go to a game in Oracle. But going and just seeing Oracle, it gives me a vintage feel, and I was shocked to find out it's only 2 decades old, a little over 2 decades old.
I had it in my head that was way older than that.
No. The Giants actually played at Candlestick Park for the longest time, and then they opened Pac Bell when it was near when Bonds was dominated. I don't know the exact year, but like late 90s, early 2000s. So it's been around for, just a couple of decades. It's brand new. It's served with a bunch of different names, but, I mean, I'm obviously biased, but I think objectively it is one of the better ballparks in baseball.
Yeah, and I kind of like when you see the outside of it and you're around it, and in San Francisco, it's like, man, I wish it wasn't February right now and we could just go to a game so I could really experience it. But you're absolutely right. It did have the old school baseball feel, which is exactly what stadiums should be. It's that kind of sport. I've always loved how baseball is the one sport where nothing is regulation in terms of playing surfaces. Like every NBA court and college basketball court, it's the same thing. Like the arenas might look different and they might be designed different, but the court is the same thing. NFL stadiums the exact same way. The field, it's 100 yards to the end zones and back. And baseball is not like that. You could have a green monster. You could have the hitting home runs into the bay and a really high right field wall. You could have Busch where there's the arch in the background, and you have the Hall of Fame members on the left field wall. It's like every field is completely different from each other, and I've always loved that about baseball. So, yeah, now we got to get to a game here at Oracle.
Yeah, we'll make sure to make that happen. One last thing I want to talk about Oracle Park specifically is, and Wrigley does this a little bit, but not to the degree that I saw at Oracle, the neon lights around Oracle Park and, like, the lighting. To me, that's what hammers home the vintage feel. I'm sure there are other parks that do it, but just seeing, like, the steel gate and then Oracle Park beamed in orange neon lights, that just gave me some goosebumps seeing that. And I know as a Giants fan, seeing those lights, it must make you feel like, wow, I'm getting ready for baseball season.
Yeah, I mean, I've just had so many fond memories going to games there. I think I've probably been to 50 something, and it's just it never gets old. It is absolutely fabulous. They pack it out no matter how the team is, and that's a part of the reason why the ownership doesn't spend money, because I think they know that the Giants will still be top 12 in attendance even if we suck. So.
That was Bush's biggest issue for the longest time, and then the fan base finally stopped going to games last year. Now they have to do something about the product on the field.
But thankfully they're solving that right now.
Yeah, trading away all of our best players. Yep, absolutely.
That's a good way to do it. But baseball season's coming up, but not quite yet. Instead, let's take a trip to the hardwood with the trade deadline coming up, and Harden just got dealt to a new home in the Cleveland Cavaliers, saying so long to Los Angeles with the Clippers. Was a good stint for him in my mind, because I felt like a lot of people felt like, this is the swan song for good old James Harden. But once again, he proved that he can just find success, maybe not tons of success like he had at Houston, but he can find success no matter where he is. It just might not be to the elevated degree. And do you think he will find similar success in Cleveland, or do you think it's just kind of, sorry, we're a little distracted, Gronk just walked by.
Rob Gronkowski just walked by. I was hoping he would come right behind us here, but he's picking a different route.
Might be changing. Nope, he's taking a picture.
Taking a picture.
All right. But either way, guys, do you think James Harden's going to find similar success in Cleveland, or do you think it's going to be tough for him to succeed when you have all the pieces that Cleveland has right now?
I just wonder what it's going to change. I mean, James Harden is playing at the top of his game right now. I think everybody can acknowledge that. That's one of the reasons why he's a hot commodity at the trade deadline. But his weaknesses are the same thing with Darius Garland's. Like the question marks about how he's going to perform in the playoffs, the lack of defense. Donovan Mitchell apparently wanted James Harden alongside him, and that was a big reason why he was moved. But if you're a Cavs fan, I think you're a little bit delusional if you think that this is going to all of a sudden click everything into gear and change the trajectory of the season. Maybe it is because it's a new face, but I'd rather have a 26-year-old Darius Garland. It's a big risk that I don't know if it's worth it.
I mean, I think this is clearly taking advantage of this year in the East and trying to get to the finals and a chance to win it all. But past this year, it is not a good move, even if they extend him a couple seasons. Like, you definitely rather have Garland. I guess if you think Garland has come close or reached a ceiling already, then a little bit desperation mode. You go and get James Harden. If you look at those two side by side, it's like which one of the guys can take over in a playoff series, which one of the guys are more likely to take over in a game. It's Harden. That's really not what Garland, it's Harden. That's not really what Garland does. So now you have a couple guys with Donovan Mitchell and James Harden in that backcourt that can give you that juice. But, yeah, it's tough because the Cavaliers, he's one of the better younger players of the game right now, especially at the point guard position. And we just talked about it yesterday on our show, where it's like when they lost that playoff series without Garland, it's because we didn't have Garland. If we had a healthy Garland, this would all be different and work. And now you trade him away, and you're not going to have Garland again for whatever playoff series you find yourself in.
Well, also, they have a 10-year age gap. 10 years.
Yeah.
Harden is 36 years old, and Garland is 26. That is not a trade you make one for one, ever. So from that perspective, I understand it, right? Like Cleveland is trying to go all in. It's an Eastern Conference with no Jason Tatum on the Celtics. The Knicks are up and down. But Harden hasn't won a championship for a reason, too. Like there's a lot of dialogue around that. There has been those performances.
If they don't beat the Knicks this year, then that is going to look like a terrible trade. Like, they have to get to the finals. They have to get out of the Eastern Conference. Because I think that's what this trade is. It's, okay, we're here, and
I agree.
We're not playing as well as we thought we were going to. We dominated the East last year. This year hasn't been the same. But you look at the teams ahead of you. It's Detroit at the number 1 seed, where it's like we can beat Detroit, which they could have beat Detroit with their previous team with Darius Garland. But you look at Detroit, you look at Boston, who's playing without Jason Tatum and probably shouldn't be playing as good as they are right now. And then the Knicks are right around there too, who has shown serious vulnerabilities with that increased losing streak. And it's like, I think the Knicks are your number 1 team to try to beat, and this in their heads gives them a better shot to do it this season. But emphasis on this season, emphasis on the 10-year age gap. In the long term, I think the Clippers absolutely win this deal.
I agree. I think this is a huge risk for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I think that this is going to be a move that they regret just because Harden hasn't stayed in one place for more than 2 years. You're betting so much on success this year, and I don't know if James Harden elevates you to NBA Finals participant, because let's face it, the East, it's going to be hard for a team from the East to beat the West this year.
Absolutely.
I just feel like we keep doing the same thing again. Like teams don't learn from James Harden's past failures in different spots, and a lot of them weren't his fault, right? Like the year when Brooklyn could have possibly gone all the way to the finals and won the championship, Kevin Durant's toe was on the line on that shot, and that was the reason why they didn't ultimately go all the way. So from that perspective, it's not all on James, but I also can't get behind a guy going from place to place and not winning anywhere.
I think it's going to be really tough to see which way this goes. I know personally, as a Alabama basketball fan who saw Darius Garland take the spot of Colin Sexton, my second favorite basketball player, this was kind of tough to see, because it's just like, man, I think Colin Sexton, if you add him to this Cavs team, it provides defense, which this Cavs team desperately needs. And it's kind of like, well, if you're going to trade him anyways, like, you know, you hate to be a revisionist with that, but I really think you add like a defensive guard like Colin Sexton to this Cavs team, and now you're talking about a serious contender. But obviously, Colin Sexton now with the Jazz, things changing a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not going to act like I know about Darius Garland's defense, but on the surface level, like, their defense in the backcourt got way worse with this trade as well. And
Yes.
I mean, you can funnel everything down low because you have Evan Mobley down there, fantastic defender, and they got good defense on the wings, the Cavs do. But, yeah, this could go wrong pretty quickly. And then I think you're kicking yourself the next however many years that you just gave away Darius Garland. Could it be Darius Garland's not on the level of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but it feels very much when the Clippers traded SGA to the Thunder just because their eyes lit up about trying to get Paul George and all this kind of stuff, and they didn't realize how good they had it in a young guard like that.
Yes.
It feels like a similar deal here where they're trying to win now, their eyes light up with a star player, and then it's not going to work because it hasn't worked the last decade for any teams that try to do it, and then you're out Darius Garland. And again, not saying Darius Garland's going to turn into this SGA MVP caliber player, but he is a good young guy that could elevate his game even further, even if the Cavs don't think so and traded him away. So.
Absolutely, and we're going to revisit this. We're going to have Ryan Myers, a cherished co-host of To the Baja, so we're going to talk some more hoops.
And he's a Clippers fan.
And he's a Clippers fan, so he has that perspective as well. So we're going to talk more about basketball and specifically this trade later. But let's kind of backtrack a little bit, and let's get back to the Super Bowl, because this is both of y'all's guys' last day here, and each day we've talked about, which way are we picking? It seems like we're going to stick with Seattle, but what I want to know is the scores. Are they staying the same? Keep on talking about them, because as I continue to go on with this week, I think my score is going to change. I think it's going to be a lot lower of a score than I expected. I think I'm going the way of Shay here, but I think the score is going to go down a little bit more. I originally had it a 31-21 Seattle Seahawks win. I think I'm going to a 24-14 Seattle Seahawks win. I'm keeping the margin the same, but I think the offense is going to be a lot less than I initially expected.
Yeah.
I'll keep 27-10. I think I'm looking up the Super Bowl over/under because I haven't. It's 45.5, so you would have had over there by a touchdown or so. Yeah, I don't think this game will reach 50 points at all, just because, again, I think New England won't be able to contribute as many points to that total. So I got the Seahawks winning pretty handily, I think.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think I might have also had 24-14 first prediction. I'm going to stick with it. I mean, I don't see a world where the Patriots can consistently produce offensively. There are way too many question marks. There's not a guy either, and this hasn't really been a thing we've discussed, but there's not a guy in that receiving room that is like, go change the game. No, they don't have that. They barely have that with their running back. It's really all just Drake May, and he hasn't even been doing anything.
And that's paired with a really good Seattle secondary as well. So it's going to be tough for New England to move the football. I would hate to be in their position where it's like maybe they could have gotten something going offensively against Denver and then a snowstorm hits, but it didn't. Before the snow hit, it didn't really look like their offense was clicking on all cylinders either. So I think the New England Houston game where the Patriots put up some points was proved to be really aided by C.J. Stroud giving them the football all those times with the interceptions and playing one of the worst games I've seen from a quarterback in the playoffs. And now they are in a spot where it's like the offense has not been figured out, and you're going into the biggest game of the season, the final game of the season, against the best defense you have played all season long.
Absolutely, and something tells me that we're going to find out a lot about how good this Patriots offense is by this Super Bowl, because there's a lot of question marks on if they were just beating up on smaller teams, but I don't know if I have the answers. I don't know if I do. I think a cupcake schedule is never true when it comes to the NFL, but I just think the Seahawks have had more of a gauntlet, especially when we look at how successful the NFC West was in this postseason. Because everybody looks at how much the Seahawks beat up the 49ers, and yes, I know the 49ers were injured. Sorry, Aidan. I know the 49ers were injured. I know that it's tough to play in Seattle. I know it wasn't the best game for the 49ers, and that happens. But the 49ers, whether you like it or not, are a great football team. And Seattle just manhandled them.
Yeah.
And to me, that just shows how good the Seattle team is.
Yeah, that was the defining moment for the Seahawks this playoffs. And we're in a position now, too, where you don't have to try to convince yourself that something's going to happen if you haven't seen it yet. Like, the sample size is there. We've seen the Patriots play all season long. And to still have these concerns, you'd be out of your mind if you thought it was just going to magically fix itself on Sunday.
Well, also think about the Patriots' recipe in so many of their games is just the defense manhandling the opposition and giving them the football in favorable positions, good field position, getting turnovers to get them in good spots where the offense can kind of coast with the defense's performance. They're not going to be able to – that's what they did in the Chargers game. That's what they did in the Houston game, obviously. That's what they did against Denver 2 weekends ago with Jarrett Stidham, the backup quarterback for the Broncos, playing. They're not going to be able to do this in this game, I wouldn't think. Like, it's Sam Darnold and it's Clint Kubiak and it's JSN that's going to be hard to guard. Kenneth Walker has had very good games since Charbonnet got injured. Like, it's going to be very tough for New England's defense to dominate the Seattle offense and put New England's offense and Drake May in a favorable position like it's been happening all season long.
It's going to be extremely hard to do that. And getting back before we have to step aside, getting back to the Super Bowl as a whole, one thing we haven't talked about is the Super Bowl halftime show. And I've seen on the interwebs, if you will, I've seen people on social media rank the previous Super Bowl halftime shows. Now, granted, I think 3 out of the 10 typically I was not alive for. But when it comes to our lifetimes, so for me that's 2004 to now, what is, and it can change based off of y'all's as well, what is the most iconic Super Bowl halftime show y'all have seen? I don't want to give the best because I think that's subjective, but one thing that sticks out to me is that Katy Perry year.
That was a good
because not to say, oh, she played the best songs, oh, she did the best. Her performance was probably the most involved I've ever seen.
She was up in the air at one point,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
It was performance-wise, mashed with the song-wise. That's almost as perfect as you could have.
That was during the peak of Katy Perry, too.
It was.
Yeah. I think my answer is it's a couple years ago. I'm a huge Bad Gal Riri fan. I love Rihanna. And for her to come out during the halftime show, and that's when everybody finds out she's pregnant, I thought that was incredible. Like, she announced her pregnancy
to the world
at a Super Bowl halftime show and still kicked butt with her pipes. Like, I love Rihanna, and I thought the production around her, like, obviously she's not going to be put up in the air when she's carrying an infant in her tummy, but, like, she didn't need to be. Like, I think the aura of announcing your pregnancy, like, that is is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So that's my answer, is Rihanna announcing her pregnancy during a Super Bowl halftime show, and then obviously her songs and her musical talents speak for themselves. But I love Rihanna. I love that performance. It helped that my team ended up winning that Super Bowl as well. But that's my answer.
Okay.
I like it. I'd say from an iconic perspective, I think the one in 2021 in L.A. when it was like Snoop and Eminem and Dr. Dre and everyone coming out, like almost a collection of these L.A. artists in one spot. And like for our era, it didn't mean as much. But I know for like the millennials, for example, that was everything.
They were hyped.
That was
They
the
were.
Super Bowl, genuinely. For me too, I love the Coldplay one, and that was 10 years ago. Actually, in this same building, it was, I believe, the 2015-16 season when it was Broncos Panthers, first Super Bowl at Levi's, and Coldplay's one of the best bands in the world. And what I love about them and their concerts in particular is how interactive they are with the audience. It felt that way, like a very intimate sort of concert.
One I was disappointed by, I love The Weeknd, and
Yeah.
his felt weird
It
to me.
was.
It
Like,
was
he
COVID. It was COVID.
It was, but it's just, I know music is art, and you perceive it different ways, and he's
I didn't like it.
a little bit of an eclectic guy, but I thought that one was super weird, and I was hoping more, expecting more of one of my guys in The Weeknd, but still fantastic artist. I thought that one could have been a lot better.
That's fair. One person that I feel redeemed himself was Justin Timberlake. First round, went a little dicey, even though I think if you ignore the incident that happened, it was overall a good performance if you just nix that part. But I feel that his performance, especially with his tribute to Prince, because it was in Minneapolis, wow, that was that was a good performance. Not the best, not even, I would even say top 10, but when it comes to being iconic and the music that he played, because let's face it, Justin Timberlake, pop star, he has some good bops. It was a fun time, fun performance, and overall, me as a music, I wouldn't even say lover, music appreciator. You could say I like it as a friend. I find myself more so liking music that's just like, these are good vibes.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's the Super Bowl, so it should be the Super Bowl of performances, and you should have a lot of that production value and all that kind of stuff. What do you think of Kendrick last year, and he brings the Drake beef onto the national stage?
I'm a Kendrick guy, like so I think it could have been better for sure, and Kendrick didn't utilize his full skill set, but I love the choreography, and I thought that his songs are great, and it felt like it all had a connection.
He brought SZA on, right?
Yeah.
That one was one of
That
my
was
favorite
great.
parts,
Yeah.
too. 'Cause, what do you think about Bad Bunny? You think it's going to be good? He's a performer, and I think it's representative of, you're even doing a story on it. The international scope of the NFL now, and them trying to penetrate all these different areas around the world and make an American game a global game. I think Bad Bunny definitely fits that agenda, and I think that's what they were going for, and I think it's the perfect guy to do it right now.
I agree. I'm very interested to see how Bad Bunny goes. I'm not the biggest listener of Bad Bunny.
I'm not
to
either.
say that when I hear a song, they're like, oh, there's Bad Bunny. I'm like, oh, I like it. I've never gone out of my way to listen to his stuff, but at the same time, I'm not scared away from like, oh, I can't believe it was Bad Bunny. I'm like, oh, when I first found out it was Bad Bunny, I was like, oh, okay, that's going to be really good. That's going to be interesting because I'm somebody who I didn't really listen to Shakira or J-Lo. And then when Shakira or J-Lo came on, I was like, oh, okay, I'm interested to see how this goes. It's a fun time. So obviously a little bit more of a language barrier with Bad Bunny, but it's not scaring me away. I think it's going to be a good show.
That's why I'm interested to see how he approaches that because, yes, it is trying to be a global game, and he's the biggest artist in Latin America by a large margin, but he is at an American football game and Super Bowl, which is associated with America at this point, and so I will be curious to see how he does that. It feels like Bad Bunny is like Enrique Iglesias, how he used to be, where it's like if you heard a Spanish song, it's like, oh, absolutely Enrique. Like you didn't even have to know the song, you just guessed. Now that's kind of Bad Bunny. It's like every time you hear a song that's playing anywhere, whether it's on the radio or at an event or at a restaurant, it's like this is probably Bad Bunny. Like he has reached that status of he's kind of got a monopoly on the Latin music scene, it feels like, in America.
But since you say that, Enrique Iglesias, that's a performance I could get by.
I loved Enrique
Baby,
Iglesias,
I like that.
Baby, I like that.
I found what we're rejoining to. But speaking of rejoining, we're going to take a quick break here at Super Bowl Radio Row. Aidan, Shay, and me will be back. We're going to talk some more sports when we return from Blaze Radio's coverage of the Super Bowl Radio Row. like it here at Super Bowl Radio Row, right here in the Moscone Center. Parker Porrill, Shay Moloney, and Aidan O'Neill as we continue to talk everything in the sporting world. And we're going to talk some Olympics with them coming up. Opening ceremony is this Friday with the Winter Olympics in Milan. Love to see Italy representation, and something tells me this is going to be a very special year when it comes to the Winter Olympics because there's already so many storylines coming in. I don't know about y'all, I'm big USA fans, but I think this year is going to be a big year for the U.S., but I also think it's going to be a very competitive year, especially when it comes to the other events, because last Winter Olympics was just so entertaining when it came to every single match, every single game, every single competition, and it's going to continue to be so this year as well.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not sure if it's still like this as other countries send in some incredible athletes, but it always feels like the Summer Olympics, you expect America to win. I mean, the track domination, the swimming domination, the other events, whether it be team sports like basketball, baseball coming up, like it just feels like America is going to have the most gold medals like every year in the Summer Olympics every time. But the Winter Olympics never really felt like that because you have the European countries that are so good at the snowy stuff and all that kind of, and there's hockey and curling and all these kind of things that you don't really associate with America like you do some of the sports and events in the Summer Olympics. So yeah, Winter Olympics is always fun to root on America and sports you never watch except for at these events every 4 years, and I'm also very excited. It's nothing like a global event where you can take pride in your country to get you interested in a sport no matter what it is. Like we talk about it all the time. The World Cup's also this year. It's going to be a great sporting calendar in 2026, but the World Cup is coming up, and it's like I don't watch soccer on a daily basis, even a weekly basis, but I will be dialed to every match that the USA men's national and USA women's national team play in any kind of big event that they're in, and I will turn into a big soccer fan just to try to root on the country.
Oh, it's so easy to just get on board immediately. I think of snowboarding as kind of like my childhood Winter Olympic sport, like the Shaun Whites and like dominating those events.
Yeah.
And then Chloe Kim too now, American woman snowboarder. She's absolutely phenomenal. So there's so many with that. But just the athletic feats, that's always my most impressive thing when it comes to the Olympics is just how good these people are at their sport and their craft. And you can even succeed and be on this national stage even if your sport isn't popular for a calendar year. It might only come up in conversation every 4 years, but it still has that gravitational pull. It still has that excitement.
It's really true that that these sports are just incredible to watch, and you don't have to know the sports holistically. You don't need to follow them you don't need to follow the World Championships. You don't need to follow like the regionals, the national championships that go on. These Olympics, just know you're seeing the best of the best. And I remember watching the Summer Olympics about 2 summers ago, and I saw a funny tweet at the time. I was like, I wish they would have a normal person try these events beforehand so that the world will know how hard it is to actually do these sports.
That's a great point.
I'd be completely down with normal person Olympic Games and just see how they do.
They need that. They need that in between the 4 years. So every 2 years we have or every 4 years but staggered, we have an average Joe Olympics where it's the same events.
Oh, man, that'd be fun.
NBC can broadcast them. They won't have to spend as much money for the broadcasting rights. And you can have Parker Porrill do curling. And we can – Aidan and I can get in a bobsled or something like that.
Oh, that would be fun. Book it, NBC. We can actually go over to their booth and pitch it to them.
Yeah, why not?
I'm sure they'll listen to us.
Worst they can say is no, right?
Yeah, worst they can say. But I do want to talk and get y'all's opinions on your favorite Winter Olympics event, because you talked about snowboarding. You mentioned skiing, alpine skiing earlier. Is that your favorite Winter Olympics event to watch, or is it just the one you remember the most?
Aidan and I talked about Carlos Alcaraz and his tennis domination on Monday. And part of the reason I love tennis is because I know how hard it is, and I have such admiration and respect for the guys that do it at a high level like Carlos Alcaraz and those tier of players. I always get that feeling with the figure skating or in the speed skating events because, I've tried ice skating before, and it is ridiculously hard. And I'm, like, chopping my feet, and I'm going not even a mile per hour, and it's hard to ice skate. And then I go and turn on the TV, and these guys are, like, racing around the ice. And I was like, hockey's the same way. I was like, how do these guys, like, hit and shoot pucks and all this kind of stuff on ice skates? But the figure skating and the speed skating events are ridiculous. And speed skating is going to be, or figure skating is going to be fun because America's got a guy named Ilya Malinin, and he's nicknamed the Quad God, and he's incredible. Like, he's going to get us gold. And they just legalized again after banning it in the 70s when another American started doing it. The backflip, like during a figure skating routine, he does a backflip on ice skates.
That is unreal.
And lands it, and it's part of his choreography because that's a big deal in figure skating. And it's like literally part of his event where he will like skate into a backflip and land it on ice. And I think that is the most ridiculously impressive thing I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a couple TikToks of him as he like does his pre-Olympic stuff, and I'm like, that guy is incredible. So Ilya Malinin, make sure to watch his events, his choreography. He will be doing backflips and all that kind of crazy stuff, and it is finally legalized. They banned it. I don't know why. I don't know the history on that, but they banned it, and they finally legalized it, and Ilya Malinin will be doing plenty of backflips.
When he does the backflip, does he land and keep skating?
Yes. It's not like he lands it, and then it's like, yeah, I'm done. Like, he will land it, and it's like seamlessly part of his event. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
The balance that takes.
Figure skating, too, is kind of, to me, like gymnastics, where the routine is so hard to master, and at the same time, it's subjective, so it's hard to grade.
Yeah.
But also, you have to think about it. These routines, they master in the off season. They probably can tell you what the 14th move is off the back of their hand. You can be like, oh, what's the 14th move you do? And they'll be like, oh, I do your Chinko or whatever. So just the way that they level it, but the way that they master it, but then having to perform it on the biggest scale. Because to me, it's not like hockey. If you have a bad moment in a hockey game, well, skate back out there and you do it again. If you mess up,
one little thing, you can throw your entire routine off. Yeah.
So to me, that's what makes figure skating, and I know it's a Summer Olympics thing, but the gymnastics so hard is one little mess up, and you could spiral out, and the whole thing's over.
It's the same kind of thing on ice skating with like when they do the balance beam thing, and they're doing flips and cartwheels on the balance beam, which is like this wide. Like, how do you do that?
It's
how do you
unreal.
land that?
Yeah.
It is one of the better athletic feats. I think one of the things or sports I'm most impressed with has to be like skiing in any regard, especially like the downhill at ridiculous speeds and having to go in between the poles. What would that be called? I'm blanking on the name.
I know there's slalom.
Is that slalom?
I think that's slalom.
There's alpine skiing. There's slalom.
Okay.
What is it? Steeplechase where they ski and then have to shoot at targets at this like
That's ridiculous.
That one is one of my favorite events too.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have to like it is a workout to ski, and then you have to like stop yourself. You have to settle your heartbeat down, concentrate, and like shoot at a target, and you get points based on you're graded based on like how close you are to the target, and then also like how quickly you finish the race. I think I don't know. That's one of my favorite ones.
Here's my thing though, is like Norway, Germany, Sweden, they dominate those events.
Yes.
How is America not the best at steeplechase? You're telling me there's not rednecks out there that just ski, look at a duck or dove.
I think it's the skiing issue that plays it. You have the great skiers, and then you have the rednecks, and then if we have a redneck skier, then
put me on the scout team.
Maybe on the average Joe Olympics, the steeplechase would be one of the American events that we dominate.
I think the average Joe's there's a dynasty in American steeplechase.
I want to know how that was created. Like, who was out of their mind when they were thinking, all right, listen, I've got a crazy idea. I'm going to have you ski it 100 miles per hour down this mountain and then go get a gun.
Then you're going to stop,
And then you're going to go shoot at that target.
Bring a rifle out and shoot at bullseye. It needs to be like a Ratatouille thing. I think we would have success if it's a Ratatouille thing. Like Ratatouille, he had the rat under his hat, and he was controlling the hair and doing the cooking for him.
Right.
Like, could we have a skier, and then underneath the skier's cap or whatever headwear they have, for lack of a better term, you said redneck, we'll just have a sharpsman, a sharpshooter. Like, he controls the skier's arm movements after the skiing portion, and then you could combine the two. So I'm not sure if they have any rules or provisions for that, but if we could figure out how to get like a little figure underneath the skier's cap that could do the shooting part, then I think America would have total reign over that. We can pitch that to someone around here too.
I like it.
Sure.
And this is I have another question for both of y'all, and this is a question whether you like it or not. Every little kid who has watched the Olympics has thought of, if you could be the best at any of these Winter Olympic sports, what would you choose? I'll start with mine to give you all time to think. I have always wanted to be a ski jumper. I have always just if I could be the best, like if I could just wake up tomorrow and be the best ski jumper, like wow. They might not make the most bread, but that just seems like such a cool sport. It just seems so awesome to just go in the air and just be like, you know what, I'm going to land this pretty rock. And just like, just the way that they bend midair, aura. Just so much aura to me. Do y'all have a winter sport where if y'all could wake up tomorrow and be the best at it in the world, y'all would do it?
Winter only?
Winter only.
I think snowboarding.
Yeah, that's where I'm going too.
I think that has the swag and the aura. And I
Yeah.
think that's the one that people are like, wow, because you do all the tricks and the flips and stuff
Yep.
on the snow. You shred some powder.
I think I would opt for the trick course rather
Yes.
than just the half dome.
Yes.
Just because, like, that's cool and, like, yeah, you can do twists. But if you're, like, flipping through the air and doing, like, 720 curl and then you land it, that's so cool.
And on a snowboard, it just looks
Oh, yeah.
it's way cooler than, like, when you have guys in the X Games doing it on bikes and scooters.
Yep.
Like,
Fair.
on a snowboard is really where it's like, wow.
Because they got the goggles and the padding and the baggy clothes and the swag.
Like, Shaun White was a cool dude.
He was
Yeah.
so cool.
Chloe Kim is cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that one.
That's fair. That is fair. And to elevate that, have y'all ever? I don't know how much y'all are in the snow. I know you're from
I got
the
a
Central
funny snow
Coast,
story.
And I know Shay, you're from Missouri. So
Yeah, a lot
you
of snow.
A lot of snow there. I make some trips. I know I'm from Alabama. I make some trips up to the snow. Have y'all ever thought of an event that should be in the Olympics? Because I'll tell you one right now. I would get in some pretty big snow fighting brawls.
I know. I was going to say snowball fights.
And I think that would be an incredible event, just to have, like, maybe you dye the snow a color so that, like, when you hit it leaves a mark. I think that would be an incredible event to watch.
I think they obviously have to have, because of the cross-country skiing events, they obviously have to have, for the Olympics, these big old regions and areas where it's just a bunch of snow, right? And I think to combine that, if you have let's say like a capture the flag like event where there's two, I don't even know how you do that. I guess it would be country versus country. You can do that, country versus country, like a team event where you get a bunch of your guys, and when the clock starts, when the event starts, there's part of the gang like building a snow fort, because that was part of always one of my favorite part of snow days is you go and build a snow fort. And you just hang out in your snow fort. So you build a snow fort, and that's where you put your flag, and that's how you protect your flag. And then you add in the snowball fighting element, where if you get hit by a snowball, you're out of there, and you can't be one of the guys that go and capture the flag or whatever it may be. You can go capture a bucket of yellow snow or whatever the symbolic thing is that you go and capture.
But gold medal.
Gold medal. That's perfect. Yeah, gold medal. That would be mine. It's like a big old snow fight where you incorporate snow forts and snowball fighting, and that, or just like simply sledding, and you like have a big old toboggan sled race down a hill.
Another one that I've always thought of that is in a couple of video games is the forgetting the name now, but you know the motorized like ski.
Like a snow sled?
What is that called?
I'm thinking of like a water ski, but not.
Yeah, is it just called no?
Or I'm thinking of like a jet ski, but in the
it's
snow.
the snow version of a jet ski. What is that called?
Snowmobile.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's easy.
I think you combine steeplechase and snowmobiles.
Okay.
To just kind of get
On
some
the run.
On the run.
I like it.
And you just kind of you rock with that,
So
because I think that's the next level.
So you don't stop, because I was going to say, like, because then it's like who has the fastest snowmobile, but it's like you're doing it on while you're going.
Correct.
How about this? I don't know how you would get this, but how about, like, have you ever walked on a pond where it's like a really thin level of ice and you don't want to fall in?
Ooh, that's
How
good.
about that as an event where they get this like lightly iced pond or lake, and you have to see who gets the farthest across
That would be
Without
awesome.
falling
like
in.
breaking
Yeah.
and falling,
Yeah.
breaking the ice and falling in.
I can get behind that.
Some form. Okay, so let's go back to that snowmobile. Imagine you have someone driving the snowmobile and someone standing on the back of it, and they're the one that's doing the steeplechase.
I think that would be good.
That could be great.
And you could, the driver would have to maneuver some kind of course too. So
Of
it's not
course.
just like going.
Yeah. And then they got to hit targets on the move.
Yep.
Also, something that's not in the Olympics is like a hiking, like hiking through the snow, like showing somebody's endurance.
Snowshoeing.
Yes,
Yeah.
snowshoeing, like up a mountain.
Yeah, that's
and like
true.
we get like that would really test. Okay, like how good are you truly as an athlete? As Derrick Henry is right behind us, but
the king.
For another program.
Yeah, for another program. Crazy.
That's
I saw
an Alabama legend.
I
man.
saw Debo walk
Dude.
that way.
What is it with all these
You
Alabama?
gotta get a picture
You
of King
got it.
Henry.
But,
What about ice fishing?
Great.
Oh, that would be a good one.
I think that's one that America and Canada would excel in, is ice fishing. That's
Yeah.
a big thing here in North America. You got to build your hut. And you're out there. That's also an endurance sport, because you got to try to get the biggest fish. And how about this? You have to, if you catch a fish, you get an allotted period of time. And when you catch a fish, you have to determine if you can only turn in one fish. You have to determine if, am I going to get something bigger than that?
Wow.
Or do I have to let it go? Because then you can't go back to the fish if you let it go.
That's
so
smart.
it's like a strategy endurance thing of, how long do I fish? How long until I, let one go and, finally submit a big old fish? And so I think ice fishing would be a great event as well.
That's a smart idea. I have another event that I personally think, if they made this an event, I would probably be the representative of the United States. I'm sorry, but I don't want to toot my own horn. But snow lodging. Using your time most efficiently when you're at a ski lodge, drinking the most hot cocoa, using the restroom before and after you, on your way in and on your way out, using your time most efficiently in a snow lodge, I might be the goat at. Because let me tell you, when I go up to a ski lodge, I'm taking off my snow boots. I'm getting in there so efficiently, taking off the jacket. I probably warm up and cool down faster than anybody else. I don't know what's going on with me, but while my family is still piddle-paddling, taking off their stuff,
You're locked in.
Yeah, I'm already I'm ready to go back out there. I've already had my burger. I've already had my hot cocoa. I'm ready to go. I think I'd represent the U.S.
I've got another one. How about the high dive in the Olympics, in the Summer Olympics? How about you have a ski lift version of that? So you get these guys to the very top of a ski lift, and they're just dangling on top of the mountain. And you get enough snow down there, enough powder to where it can brace a fall if something would happen, heaven forbid. But you jump off the ski lift and you try to do flips and turns or whatever, just like in the high dive event, and you try to land in the snow elegantly, gracefully, and that could be an event. You're graded on the artistic falling or jumping from the ski lift.
Yeah. That could be snowboard or skiing.
I think you could also do chicken with that. You could have ski lift and see who stays on the longest of a stuck ski lift.
I like that. Okay, what about longest time you can put your tongue and get stuck on a frozen ski lift pole, just like in is that Dumb and Dumber?
Dumb and
Yeah,
Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
Or Christmas Story.
Christmas Story as well. That was a light pool. Yeah. You have a tongue to a frozen pool event where it's it's a chicken thing too. How long until I ask for help? How long can I stay out here with my tongue stuck to a frozen pool?
And I have one last one for us before we have to send it to a break. I think the most effective ski school trainer. We give, we grade the ski school trainers on how effectively they can teach a bunch of snot-nosed kids and how many kids they can teach in one afternoon how to ski. So it's going to be really hard to grade, but I think it'll be a fun event because ski school, I don't know how they do it. I could never teach it. You just go. That's what I would say.
I mean, we just came up with a dozen or so, and none of them overlap with any of the 116 events that the Winter Olympics actually have. So
Correct.
I think
we need to talk to the committee.
We have
That's
to talk
what it
to
sounds
somebody.
like.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're listening.
They had what the dancing one last year that caused all this commotion.
Oh,
Breakdancing. They had
breakdancing.
breakdancing. How do you grade break? We could get some events in there.
We just came up with so many more equitable ideas. So if any of the listeners out there, because I know there's a lot of them, are any way connected with the Winter Olympics Committee, tell them to hit us up. Parker Porrill, Shay Moloney, Aidan O'Neill. We don't want any credit. Well, maybe we do. We can get the credit under the table, and by credit I mean, what's the currency in Italy? What's the currency in Italy? Euros?
I think they just use euros, right?
Yeah, get us some euros. We'll be happy. We'll be. Many of y'all know very good in Italian. I don't know.
No,
Well, hopefully they speak Spanish because we'll be muy bien.
I think it's,
No, yeah.
We can figure that out.
We can figure that out. We don't need to speak the same language because we just need some euros. But either way, we'll be right back when we return on Blaze AM for Blaze Radio's coverage of Super Bowl Radio Row. welcome you back to Blaze AM for Blaze Radio's coverage of Super Bowl Radio Row. Parker Porrill and Aidan O'Neill. Now joining us, Ryan Myers for the second ever guest on Blaze AM.
Come on now.
Happy third day of existence to Blaze AM as we as we continue to chug along here at Super Bowl Radio Row. How are you enjoying things, Ryan?
Man, it's been great. It's good to be back out at Radio Row. It's honestly a really cool time, and now you guys get to see like Tuesday, Wednesday. It really heats up. It's honestly too many people here. If I had a dollar for every pro athlete or famous person I saw here, I'd be rich enough to buy us lunch probably today. So that's pretty cool. But seriously though, it's good to be here. It's a nice time. I'm glad you guys are getting out here and experiencing this. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's been an awesome experience. We've been super grateful to be here. I know a lot's going on in your world though with these Clippers, man.
Dude,
Harden, Garland getting moved last night. I know you had some time to kind of get ready for it, it felt, but now that it's set in, how you feeling?
Honestly, not as bad as I thought I was going to feel. I think it's hard to – you got to separate the two as a Clippers fan and as somebody who genuinely wants to see the progression of this team from a basketball standpoint. Darius Garland being 10 years younger than Harden means a lot in this value. Harden wanting a 2-year, $80 million extension when we're not in a position to give him that because we want to clear our books is not a good thing either. And I think for Harden, it's a good situation to kind of get him a chance to really go and compete again and win. Apparently, Donovan Mitchell really wanted to play with James Harden, and Garland was okay with getting out of there and going to somewhere different. And I feel like the Clippers are an opportunity because of where they're at in the standings and the makeup of the team to give him the keys to really go and see how good of a player he can be. Like, Garland obviously has struggled with injuries over the last couple of seasons, and he's been in and out of lineups or whatever, maybe not as good in the playoffs as we want him to be. But this guy at his best is a two-time All-Star and a 22-point-per-game scorer who can also average like 8 assists a game and is one of the best ball handlers in basketball. So I'm excited. I mean, it's a lot to give up, but you get a lot back. So we're going to see. But I feel like we have the tools to maximize his potential. So if he's ever going to flourish, this was like the right system for it.
Are you shocked at all that it seemed like this is almost a one-for-one trade?
Yeah.
Like there's, a second-round pick in there?
Yeah, so the Clippers get a second, but it's effectively a one-to-one trade.
And that's the most shocking part to me is that there's not even like a protected – like a lottery-protected pick in there. There's not even any other role players in there.
I had said yesterday on our show that I would have only been like truly like happy with the trade if the Clippers had gotten any first-round draft capital back, even if it was like one like late, like a mid-first protected or something like that, like something where they could just get something back that you could say is a first-round pick. I'd be cool. I'm not terribly mad at the way the trade panned out. It's also tricky because of the second apron rules. The Cavs they have the highest payroll in the NBA. They've been trying to clear their books a little bit the last couple of days as well. But having all that second apron luxury tax on you means you can't actually trade more than one player in any particular trade. So you have to move guys like one-for-one situations. So it makes it tricky because I know there's a lot of talks about maybe the Cavs going after Anthony Davis as well, but they couldn't do a 3-team trade with the Clippers and the Mavericks to get guys. You got to do a one-for-one, and then they have to do a separate one-for-one trade if they want to get Anthony Davis, and they can only move like one player. It's a really weird situation. And that's why they had to move DeAndre Hunter too, because they couldn't trade. Like you can't trade Max Strus and Lonzo Ball. You got to trade one of them at a time, which kind of forces you to get rid of like your bigger names in some of these deals. But yeah, it's cool. I thought like, hey, the Clippers didn't do a terrible job in the trade negotiations, but I do think getting a guy like Garland, who's 26 years old, he just turned 26, 2-time All-Star. It was really good last year, averaged 20 a game. And this year's been injured, but still averaging 18 and 7. Like, I'm not mad at it at all.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I've noticed, I think people are forgetting how good Darius Garland is just because of the injuries. And, yes, James Harden is playing his best basketball. You probably can agree in the past year. I think right now is his best in that sample size. But it's still, I just like it a lot for the Clippers because of how young DG is. And, yes, this recent stretch has been fun for the Clippers getting back on track, but not any sort of contender in the West.
No, not at all. And I think that was the biggest thing is, like, having your two best players be 35 and 36 years old, and then you have no chance to win a championship, it's a really pointless place to be. And the Clippers are kind of stuck in this weird, like, middle ground where, like, we don't want to be bad because we don't have our own draft capital. We're trying to be good, but we don't have the pieces to actually be good enough. We want to contend, but we don't want to spend a lot of money for the next year and a half till 2027. So now you kind of have to find ways to retool when you can maximize value, and this was the best way to do it. And ultimately, I mean, It was pretty simple. James was like, hey, I want to go to a winner, but more importantly, I want this 2-year, $80 million extension. The Clippers said, we're not going to extend you because we want to be free off our books. And they were like, all right, well, then I need to be somewhere where I can get extended. And they came to good terms. Honestly, I love it for James Harden, too. I think the system, the situation, he makes big men a lot better. Evan Mobley was amazing last year, was All-NBA second team, Defensive Player of the Year, but he's taken a regression in his offensive game. We talked about it yesterday on the show. He went from shooting 37% from three last season when he was averaging like 19 a game. He's shooting 30% this year. So dropping 7-8% three-point percentage in a year is a lot. Jared Allen had a great game the other night, but he hasn't been fantastic all season long. So I think getting a real point guard like Harden who can control the floor, make the right plays, one of the best pick-and-roll offensive players in the game, if not the best, allows you to kind of do a lot with him. And now he can make your big men better. I'm sure D. Mitch is going to still average 30 a game and work off him just fine. So I'm excited to see how this Cavs team look. They've been really retooling to win. And, they're kind of making some intriguing moves. It's kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's tons of interesting stuff going on, especially with the Clippers. And what I'm really interested to see is, well, what does this move signify for Kawhi Leonard? I think
Yeah.
the main part is, what's the future there? What's the stake in him? Because originally it seemed like it was Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Then it was like, oh, well, we're going to team him up with James Harden now. And now it's just like, is the future still with Kawhi Leonard, or do you think they're going to mix things up soon?
Honestly, the way that they're handling it is as good as I could have imagined them to do, which I'm happy with. And it's that after next season, Kawhi's $50 million contract is expiring. He's not going to be traded because his value is not high enough for $50 million, even though he's a really good player still. And I think that if he wants to be a Clipper, I have no problem signing him to a deal of probably lesser value or even just a shorter amount of time, like the Jimmy Butler deal where you give him like 2 years, like 100. I would not be terribly mad if we gave him like a 2-year, $80 million deal in 2027 after next season. But I don't want to continue to extend his contracts when we don't know exactly what he's going to look like, how much he's going to play,
right,
all this other stuff. And having that freedom, being in Los Angeles, allows you to maybe not get the biggest names every free agent cycle, but you can probably get and pluck a guy or two that's going to be pretty big. We're going to see if guys still want to get extended from other teams and things like that. And I'm sure with the way the NBA is trending, where there's a lot of guys who we've seen that can play up to larger roles, they get the opportunity, the Clips won't have a problem picking up a guy for 4 years, $100 million, 4 years, 120. That is almost all-star caliber that could really move the needle and get them back to being a consistent team in the Western Conference versus this old man team that's not going to win anything.
Right.
So.
And I have no doubt about that too. New arena, a lot of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good gravitational pull there to get some players.
Yeah, I would love to see Kawhi stay as a Clipper, but he just can't be the most expensive guy on the payroll. That's my thing. Is if they're doing that, that means that we're not, as an organization, I say the Clippers, are not trying to truly compete because if you want to compete for a championship, it's a very simple formula, and it starts with having a top 7 guy in basketball. If you don't have a top 7 guy in the NBA, your chances of winning a championship based on the history of basketball are almost 0 to none. And if you're going to pay the Kawhi Leonard like he's a number 1 option, you're never going to get over the hump because he's just not the top 7 guy in hoops. We saw it last year in Game 7 when him and Harden kind of played a really mediocre against the Nuggets, and Jokic had a fantastic game and killed him. Those are the moments you need a top 7 guy.
Yeah.
And, the Clippers don't have that in Kawhi anymore. So.
Looking at the outlook on this season right now, the Clippers are a play-in team with that 9th seed. Does the Darius Garland trade, does that affect them at all in the standings? Do you think it can only go up from here, or do you think they stay at the same level?
No, I think they're going to kind of teeter out. James has been fantastic this year. And he's had a really good stretch, especially at the beginning of the year when the Clippers were struggling. But honestly, over this last 22-game stretch when the Clippers are 17-5, best record in the league, it's been because of Kawhi Leonard more than anything else. And it also has been because of the growth of the younger players around the Clippers roster who were not supposed to play at all, but had to play because the guys that were older weren't performing. So, Kobe Saunders is a guy who has been fantastic, who's a second-year guy. He's grown a lot as a player. We got Jordan Miller, who's actually from the same county that I'm from, Virginia.
Oh, cool.
He went to Miami. He played in the Final Four with them, and he's grown so much. He's had multiple 20-point-per-game performances, things like that. And then Yannick Niederhauser, the center they drafted out of Penn State in the first round with the 30th pick, has also been pretty good off the bench as well. And the play of Kawhi and, like, those three has really made the difference. So that's been a really fun thing for them, and that's kind of how they've been progressing and growing through the season. And I think with Darius Garland now, the Clippers are in a spot where they're going to try to retool, and he'll still provide a lot of what James Harden provided, but, not to the same extent. And I'm sure the Clippers are going to stay in this play-in race. I'm just glad they've gotten out of the bottom five, like, doom of, like, where the Mavs, Kings, Jazz are at, things like that. Like, I'm happy they're out of that portal.
We do have some breaking news.
We do.
Now.
We got some breaking news.
Awesome.
All right,
saw.
so the Dallas Mavericks are trading 10-time All-Star Anthony Davis, along with Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum, to the Washington Wizards for Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Malachi Branham, and Marvin Bagley III, along with 2 first-round picks and 3 second-rounders.
Whoa. Where is
Shams.
Justin Lacertosa?
Per Shams.
Why would they do that? Are they out of their mind?
Dallas is receiving the 2026 Thunder first-round pick and the 2030
Are they out of their
Warriors
mind?
Whoa, wait.
first-round
Okay,
pick.
so Dallas receives a 2026 Thunder first-round pick?
Correct.
So kind of a waste of a first. That's not too bad.
And then the 2030 protected Warriors first-round pick, along with every second-round pick is a Wizards second-round pick, along with 2026 Phoenix, 2027 Chicago, and 2029
So
Houston.
so the Wizards didn't give up any of their own draft capital outside of
it's out of like 2.
a second round picks. Okay. This is wow. Okay. So Anthony Davis is a Wizard now. So this is very interesting. And man, okay, I actually don't know what to say because I think this is a very interesting trade for the Wizards because obviously they've been really bad for a while and their trajectory is still this season going to be like, let's see if we can land a top guy in the draft. And I think they're at a point now where they're kind of ready to go with the young guys they have and a potential lottery high-level guy and just say, all right, let's try to win.
Yeah.
So, this seems like they're banking on the basketball universe landing them A.J. DeBanza, and then they're going to run with that. Like, they have the guards, they have the front court. We just need, like, a star wing. If they got, like, a Cameron Boozer and A.J. DeBanza out of this draft, which is highly possible because they're terrible, this could be some really fun movement in D.C. I'm intrigued by this a lot for the Wizards. I don't know what you guys think first reactions.
Yeah, I think player capital-wise, this is a slam dunk for the Wizards because they didn't give up anybody. They gave up A.J. Johnson, Chris Middleton, who was obviously making a lot of money, Malachi Branham, and Marvin Bagley. Like, those are negative impact players on any of their success. Based on the picks and everything you read to me, I don't think it's terrible, but you're also relying on an Anthony Davis to somehow come back. And we know when he's on the court, he's incredible, but that's a big if.
I think it's going to be a wait-and-see trade, which way this goes.
For sure.
Normally there's immediate impact. This is going to be like, all right, let's revisit this in a year and a half, and let's see which way this trade goes. But something interesting is this is now almost like officially Luka Doncic trade with Anthony Davis.
Right.
Like how quick of an era that less than a little over a year. The anniversary was
day,
a week. Just now Anthony Davis is gone from the Mavericks.
So
like how quick did that happen?
And geez, man, the Mavericks. I actually feel bad for their fans. They're at a point now where now it's just like, all right, we got Coop. We're gonna vibe. This is interesting to me from their perspective because obviously Cooper Flag has been phenomenal. He's probably gonna win Rookie of the Year, and they have a bunch of guys who they're gonna have to clean house with. I wonder what this means for Kyrie Irving's future in Dallas. He seems like that would have to be an exit sooner than later, but he hasn't been healthy, so it's tough to gauge his value amongst the NBA right now. And I don't really know exactly where they're going to take this. I think this is one of those, like, we're just going to take on as many awkward pieces as possible, let Cooper Flag be Cooper Flag, and then whoever we can draft around him is, like, how we're going to mold our roster. But they're just kind of doing whatever they can, stacking picks. Going from Luka Doncic to full rebuild mode in a year is beyond insane. Now, I do wonder, though, if this is going to end up being a positive for them in the long haul, not having Luka anymore, I feel like it can't be, right? Like, I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. There's nothing over the last year for them has made any sense.
I think
It's a negative because I think Luka wanted to stay there, and as long as Luka's on your team, you're going to be relevant.
Exactly.
Even if you're the worst team in the league, which is almost impossible when you have one of the best players on the planet, you're still like, oh, we're getting fans because we have one of the best players on the planet on our team.
And that's why I love this trade for Washington. Not that I guess I can't say I love the trade. It just went through. But being a hometown D.C. native, the Clippers Capital One Arena is one of the largest basketball arenas in the NBA. It's like top 10 in terms of capacity, and the Wizards are a consistently like bottom 5 team in capacity filled in like stadium and the amount of seats sold in per game. I can find a list because I don't have it in front of me right now, but the Wizards don't sell out Capital One Arena in DC at all, not even a little bit. And like the ticket prices aren't super expensive, but oftentimes the games are kind of empty. And now you have Trae Young, and now you have Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And you're going to sell seats no matter how mediocre the team is going to be. And I feel like in the Eastern Conference that is lacking a lot of star power right now. Looks like Giannis could even be out and going to the Western Conference. It's getting really wide open, especially for these teams that are going to get young guys in the door. And I'm excited to see how this is going to mold going forward. Hopefully this is a way to make guys like Alex Sarr and Trey Johnson be amongst winners, be amongst guys who have done it in the NBA. And now you have actual veterans who not only going to be able to show you what to do, but they'll be able to go out there and do it, and they can lead by example on the floor. Because when you have young guys like this, you kind of can end up like the Charlotte Hornets in a lot of ways, where you don't really have a lot of direction or guys aren't actually growing because they're just like going out there and hooping like LaMelo Ball does. He's not actually progressing as a player. Hopefully this means progression for the Wizards guys. And, you know, if they land A.J. DeBanza, this team's going to be scary next year.
Right, no, that's a good point. My initial reaction was thinking, like, okay, this is 2 of their own first. But knowing that it's the Thunder 2026 first-round pick,
so
which
the
is
30th
nothing.
pick in the draft.
Right. And then a 2030 protected Warriors first-round pick.
You know what protection it has on it? Is it like a top 7?
Shams didn't say yet, but I would – 2030 is a
too
couple
far
years away,
now,
too.
Yeah, so.
But from that perspective, and you're thinking about selling tickets – AD more than likely is going to not play the rest of the season, I would guess. Mm-hmm. That's what they've done with Trae Young, kind of the whole he's out for the year or we're resting him just because they can continue to tank. But if you think about that and you got Trae and you maybe have, let's say, Darren Peterson or AJ or any of those top 3, and then you have a Trae Johnson who's proven he can score, like the pieces might be coming together. It's exciting, at least.
This is interesting. I can't believe this broke while we're on here. That's actually really insane. Anthony Davis from L.A. to D.C. just making his way east. Poor guy, man. He's just been he's too good to have this kind of crap happen to him as a player, man. I mean, getting bounced for Luka is like, all right, cool. Like, I kind of get it. That's one thing. Now he's getting dealt to the Wizards for nothing. Not nothing, but like for mediocre basketball player.
See what happens when you leave New Orleans. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, let's think. I just want to think right now. So Luka was traded for Anthony Davis, right?
Yeah.
And then Max Christie and all these other pieces. So if you think about this as a whole, Luka Doncic was traded for Max Christie, let's see, Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Malachi. Like, when you start listing out the names,
it's like nothing.
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
It really is a joke. It puts everything into perspective after this deal was made. And I know Nico Harrison is no longer the GM, but just how bad that deal was.
Yeah.
Like, how insanely bad. The worst trade we've ever seen bad.
Yeah, that is the worst trade ever. And apparently, you know what's funny is I saw a report the other day, too, that said the Mavericks are no longer interested in doing any future deals with the Lakers. And it's like, dude, like, y'all got fleeced, bro. What you mad at them for that they fleeced you? Like, yes. And I'm next to Justin Lastratosa, who's our resident Wizards fan. Justin Anthony Davis is on.
How are you feeling, Justin?
He doesn't want to talk about it yet. I actually don't mind it. You know, the first round picks they gave up, Justin, were like it's a Thunder 2026 and a Warriors protected. Low-key, I mean,
yeah.
Fill some seats, man. Put some butts in seats.
I like it.
This will be a fun as this day continues to unfold, this will be really fun. But I can't imagine, like, this is the end of the saga. We're still waiting for this Giannis deal to potentially go through. And a couple teams are really, like, going all out for that. The Timberwolves and one team that literally traded Mike Conley yesterday for peanuts, literally nothing, to get $10 million off the books so he could fit his contract. Like, this will be an interesting last couple of days. This is cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be – this is going to be a very entertaining trade deadline.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Already has been.
Yeah, already has been. I think there's going to be a couple more to come. We've talked about Giannis a couple times before. As it starts to get go on, the less likely it is that I think that Giannis is dealt. But we could see some other big figures, especially figures with bigger contracts than their name provides, get dealt.
Well, that's a good point because Brian Windhorst said this. And we're going to talk about it on TTB in a little bit as well. The Milwaukee Bucks have not told any team yet, according to Brian Windhorst and other ESPN sources, that if you get these pieces, we're going to make the trade. So it's like you have teams that are making trades to then go and make an offer to Milwaukee, but like the Miami Heat apparently, and the same thing with the Timberwolves are like, well, if I make this move, are you going to give us Giannis or no? And they're like, well, we'll see. We don't know yet. So it's like it's kind of a stalemate now, right? Like as an organization, am I going to go now? Even though he's not like the best player, if I'm the Timberwolves, am I going to go trade Rudy to get assets that you want so that I can trade him to you guys, or are you guys not going to give us what we want when we trade for that? And they've said that they're cool waiting until the summer multiple times. The Bucks have. They're like, we're in no rush. Giannis is probably not going to play at all like the rest of the season. Pretty much, they're going to tank, try to get a good pick, and move from there. But they don't even have their own first, I don't believe. I think Atlanta might have the rights to that. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but regardless, it's definitely one of those weird situations with Giannis where, like, he obviously wants to leave, but he's not going to be like, get me out of here by tomorrow. And then the Bucks are like, we want to trade him, but we got to make sure it's the right deal. And you never really know when you're trading a guy that good if it's the right deal or not. So it's just a stalemate, and teams can't be like, all right, now I'm going to go trade my second best player to go then get Giannis if we don't know if we're going to get Giannis.
Yeah. Absolutely. And before we wrap things up on Blaze AM, something that we've been doing here is everybody's been giving their score predictions at the Super Bowl as it's gone along, because all of our scores have changed over the couple days as we learn more about the game and as we learn more about the team.
Interesting.
Who's winning the Super Bowl, and what's your score?
So it was a tough one for me because I actually have been a lot higher on the Patriots than other people might have been, and their growth and their progression and the way that Drake May's been performing and their defense has been playing in the secondary. But I think I'm going to lean the Seahawks just because I trust their skill players and their secondary more in the big moments than I do the Patriots. So I said yesterday 27-14 Seahawks, and I think I'm going to redact that. I'm going to change it slightly to 24-14 Seahawks, but that's what I'm sticking with.
Okay, got you. That's what we both got.
Say? Oh, it's
That's
really
exactly what we both have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm like around that. I think they'll win by like a 10 margin or so. I think the Patriots will have a good first half, but I feel like a third quarter from the Seahawks where we saw like in the Rams game, like it was a shootout in the first half, and in the second half I felt like the Seahawks defense started to turn it up a notch. I could see that exact script happening, like it's maybe 14-10 at halftime. And then the Seahawks defense kind of tightens the screws the rest of the way, and then they end up winning by like a couple touchdowns or like a touchdown and a field goal, something like that. But I trust JSN. I trust Kenneth Walker a lot, and I actually, as more than most people, I do trust Sam Darnold. I think he's done enough of a good job to kind of, he's a game manager, like guys like him like to say, but I think he's honestly like, dude, a good game manager, you can win a lot of Super Bowls with a good game manager. So I trust it a lot. So I think that's what I'm going with.
I feel very similarly. I think that this is going to be a game that Seattle controls. That we're going to look back and be like, oh, it was a close Super Bowl. But when we think back on it and we actually look at the game, Seattle was in firm control. There might be some close moments where it's like, oh, it's only a one-possession game and it's halfway through the second quarter. But we know who has the ball. We know who is in control of the game. And that's the way that I think about this one.
Anything would be better than last year's score. That was a tough watch.
It was. But this is a big game. Going to be a big-time atmosphere here at the Super Bowl. And that will pretty much do it for this installment of Blaze AM. Thank you, Ryan, for making some time to join us.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Good to be on.
Absolutely. But for Shay Moloney, who's off screen, and for Ryan Myers, Aidan O'Neill, I'm Parker Porrill saying so long. We'll be back on Blaze AM tomorrow morning, I should say.
Nice.
We'll see you next time.